It's that time of the year, my friends. Award season is here, and we're ready to dish out the first annual Switchies. What's going on, everybody? It's Zach from Switchforce. Gabe is here, and we needed our own awards. There's the Game Awards, there's freaking Polygon, IGN, GameSpot, there's the Grammys, the Academy Awards, the Dundies. So we're here to present the Switchies. We picked categories for the best of the year in Nintendo Switch gaming, and we've got a whole lot of categories. Today we're covering the best multiplayer Switch game, the best graphics on Switch, the best Switch port, the best value on Switch, and the best use of the Switch and its portable hybrid nature. So we're going to discuss these and come up with a winner. It's kind of our own mixture of what some of the other sites do in our own style. There will actually be 2 of these videos. We have so many categories to go through. So let us know your take on the categories in the comments down below, and make sure to stay tuned for the next set of categories. But Gabe, it's been a great year, and top 10 lists are all over the place. We wanted to do something a little different today and bring you some very specific categories to help you decide what games were the best in 2017.
You know, we now have the most prestigious awards on the internet. You know, I'm wearing a monocle while recording this currently, so it is exciting. The name Switchies is kind of funny, but I like it.
Yes. Hey, listen, Switch Force, I mean, we could call them the Forces, but that sounds a little strange. So we're going to go with Switchies, and let's just jump right in, everybody, to multiplayer. Now, this focuses on online multiplayer. We will have a category later for local. But some of the big ones, obviously, are Mario Kart 8, Splatoon 2, and ARMS. That's kind of what we're deciding between here. So, Gabe, I'm going to let you make your pitch first.
Zach, I have been bit by a bug. It is a pretty bug. It's not an ugly bug, and it didn't hurt very much. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I do a lot of waiting for you to record these videos sometimes, and in between, I'm always playing Mario Kart. Sometimes, like, at night, while I'm even playing other games, PUBG, for example, a game where there's a lot of waiting, and it's very passive. I'll play Mario Kart 8 at the exact same time. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has sort of been rejuvenated and rebirthed in my mind. It is so fun. I have become pretty decent at the game in my mind just because I was so bad at it before. But now I find myself being competitive every single time I'm playing online. There is a great player base. You never have any trouble finding matches whatsoever. It runs beautifully, both docked and handheld. Oh, man, I'm all about that Mario Kart 8 Deluxe life right now.
And it is a fantastic game. It's absolutely epic, and we had tons of fun playing it together as a Switch Force community. We did tournaments. It's really just probably Nintendo's best online multiplayer game. My only issue is that it is a retread game, and so I don't know if we should give it to that. Instead, both ARMS and Splatoon 2 have a really cool online, and I think, you know, it's harder to make a case for ARMS because it has less options. There's less variety, and they have already stopped the content for that game. But Splatoon 2, I do want to make a heavy case for, because it has a fantastic community. It has a fantastic pipeline of content. And realistically, majority of that game is online. It's probably Nintendo's most online game in terms of you've got co-op, you've got multiplayer, you've got shops, you've got timers, you've got, you know, a lot of things that all require a connection, including its use of the famous Nintendo Switch app, where you can send purchases to the game. You can also use that awesome voice chat if you're into that kind of thing. But I really love the Splatfests. I really love going at it either with you, Gabe, or without you. And I think that the upgrades they've made throughout the year, and I know Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has had its upgrades as well, but the upgrades they've made to the online, how you can now change things out in between rounds, it's fantastic.
Yeah, and it's hard to argue with any of your points because I agree with them. Splatoon 2 is a fantastic game. It's just that personally, I played so much more Mario Kart. And to me, that's just an evergreen game until there is a new Mario Kart on Switch. Mario Kart 8, no matter if it's a port, it's going to be a game that I'm playing in some fashion. I might not be playing it every single day, but, you know, I love the fact that I can jump on there at any time, find a match so quickly, and it's easy to jump back into. For Splatoon, when I don't play for a while, I have to catch my bearings for, like, the first few matches. I know I'm going to do, like, terrible because there's people on here that play every single day with Splatoon, and it's hard to stay competitive. With Mario Kart, I know I can always be competitive, so... we're trying to agree on one here. Is there anything I can get you to lean towards my side, or do we? I mean, I love Splatoon though, so I'm also not opposed to that. It's just Mario Kart. I'm telling you, Zach, it's a special game.
Oh, I absolutely think it is. I feel slightly shady about giving a port of a Wii U game multiplayer of the year, and that's no slight against Mario Kart. I just think Splatoon 2 does so much well. And, early on we had our fair share of connection issues. I feel like they've gotten better over time. There also is Salmon Run, which I know isn't your favorite mode, and it didn't pan out to be the perfect co-op that we wanted, but it still is a pretty fun time. They added a new ranked mode recently. They continually add stages, weapons, and to me, the constant additions and the constant evolution of that online is why I really think it deserves the edge. Because if Mario Kart 8 Deluxe had any sort of DLC, I would be open to it. But Mario Kart 8 is a relic, and Splatoon 2 is a constantly evolving, beautiful gem.
I have no problem giving it to Splatoon 2 and having Mario Kart be the runner-up. I do want to say this about Splatoon. Stop telling me that I can't pick certain stages. Like, stop telling me exactly what stages I can pick. I don't like that, Splatoon. Stop that.
That is definitely an oddity. But okay, let's give Splatoon 2 the best multiplayer Switchy, and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe will be the runner-up.
Perfect. That works.
All right, so Splatoon 2, you win the first Switchy. Honor it, cherish it, hold it close, don't ink all over it. Next category is Best Graphics. Now, this could be art style related or just technical prowess related. And the games that we have nominated are Skyrim, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Mario plus Rabbids, which, Gabe, you're going to have to explain that one to me, Super Mario Odyssey, SteamWorld Dig 2.
I also feel like I'm going to need to explain Skyrim, and that's sort of where I'll start. Skyrim, and we'll talk about ports later, but it's such a fantastic port. I was literally like taken aback as to how well that game ran when I played Skyrim way back in the day. And it didn't run super well. Now it's running really well, and it runs well portably on like such a small machine. Like I was genuinely surprised. I'm not saying Skyrim is the best looking game on Switch. It's absolutely not. But I think it does deserve to be mentioned just because the port is so well made. So I wanted to throw that out there. Zelda's a safe one, so we'll talk about that more in a little bit. Mario plus Rabbids, though. I love the art style of that. It's so charming. And yes, the Rabbids can be annoying to some people, but I loved it. The environments in that game are kind of the reason why I decided to throw this on here, just for at least a mention. A lot of stuff goes on in the environment. You'll have Rabbids doing all types of zany stuff in the background. It's funny. And, whatever little Easter eggs you can find, very cool environmental stuff. And it is a pretty game, especially when playing docked. Handheld, it's a little bit like more difficult just because the text is like sort of like small and blurry. But I actually really like the way Mario plus Rabbids looks on Switch, so I did want to mention it, although I know it's also not the best looking game on Switch. In that same breath, though, maybe we can talk about SteamWorld Dig 2, because that's also not the best looking game on Switch, but you're going to need to talk to me about that one.
I really like it. It is a 2D game. I think it has very crisp visuals, very crisp animations. I think it's very vibrant. It looks super awesome. I'm okay with it not winning. I just feel like it needed some mention because, one, it's a fantastic game, and two, I think it has a very charming style. I think they evolved the style from SteamWorld Dig 1 quite a bit, and I like how it has sort of that side-scrolling 2D, but kind of 3D with really strong animation look. The one that I want to bring up, I'm honestly surprised you didn't, is Super Mario Odyssey, because to me, if you're going to say that Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle looks good and has a lot of cute stuff happening in the background, Mario Odyssey almost negates that because it's the true final form of Mario, right? Like, it's basically, it has the color, it has the charm, it has the Easter eggs, it has the fun stuff in the background, it has clever, cool characters, but it is done in the best style, because Mario plus Rabbids is a lesser looking Mario. If you compare Mr. Mario to Mr. Mario, it's not the same. And I think that the Mario games in general are often overlooked graphically because they do not, feature lifelike characters. Although this time they did have humans. Not the best looking humans, but they did have humans. But I think that the color and the creativity, to me, really pushes it right to the limit. Zelda Breath of the Wild, obviously, is the front runner, the favorite. That game looks gorgeous. From the explosions to the environments to just the vast landscapes, it is incredible looking. And it is a seamless world, which I think you have to give it some huge credit for. I mean, imagine if Mario Odyssey had all those kingdoms linked together somehow. I feel like Zelda is tough to beat, but I want to hear your take on Mario Odyssey.
The reason I didn't bring it up is because I knew you would. And that's the other reason I threw in Mario plus Rabbids, because I knew it wouldn't get a mention. And to me, I really like that game, and I like the way it looks. And like I said, the environments in that game, very pretty, very charming, and there's a lot of fun in them. So I definitely wanted to bring it up. Sort of the same way that I wanted to bring up Skyrim, where, look, I know that these aren't the best graphics on Switch, but the games are so cool, and there is a cool style aspect to the graphics in general that I wanted to just mention it. But Mario Odyssey, hands down, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful game. And the funny thing is that neither Odyssey or Zelda run at 1080p docked. Zelda is 900p for the most part. Mario Odyssey, it fluctuates whatever resolution it's at depending on what's going on. So I wonder if maybe later in the Switch's life cycle we get another Mario game that fully does 1080p or something like that. Who knows? But you can't overstate how beautiful Odyssey looks. It's great, and the kingdoms themselves are so varied that it has a type of variety that Zelda just doesn't have. There's nothing like the Luncheon Kingdom in Zelda, really.
Right.
You'll have snow, you'll have a whole bunch of other environmental stuff going on in Zelda, but the Luncheon Kingdom's so colorful. The color palette in that kingdom alone is kind of insane. Plus, what they do with some other stuff that I don't even know if it's safe to talk spoilers at this point or not about Mario Odyssey, so I won't. But some of the other stuff that they do graphically with other kingdoms in the game, they do some cool stuff.
Yeah, and that's sort of where this comes in. The consistency of the Zelda world is amazing, and they have that really fantastic, almost like the culmination of, you go Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, Skyward Sword, and Breath of the Wild. Just kind of feels like the perfect amalgamation of all those styles. But Mario Odyssey does have a diversity that Link cannot compare and compete with at this time. I will say that the different areas of the map do have their own charm and their own touch. If you look at Kakariko Village versus the sand dunes versus Death Mountain, very different color-wise and character-wise. It's hard though, like you said, without spoilers, to really go into full detail about how epic Mario is. I guess it's just kind of, do we want to go more on the graphic side or more on the creativity art side?
I'm personally way more impressed with Zelda, but that's
you are.
My pick would be Zelda, because you touched on it, but the fact that this is also seamless. Right, you're not going into loading screens too often unless you die or going into shrines. Obviously, gets you a loading screen, but other than that, you can go from any point in the map to any other point in the map without any interruption whatsoever. The same cannot be said for Mario. And I kind of feel like the fact that Mario is so colorful and bright, it's a little bit of a cheat code, because you don't have to be as good graphically because you have such vibrancy and less detail in the world, if that makes any sense.
I feel like that's the excuse everyone uses, Mario's a baby game, so the colors don't... I mean, Zelda is not hyper-realistic in any sense of the word.
And more than Mario.
Is it? Is a Goron more realistic than a Bowser?
But they look like... I guess not, but... I'm talking
I don't
about...
think you can use realism as any...
Well, I'm not using...
You're going to say details, what you want to go with.
Well, I didn't use the word realism. I used the word details.
All right, I just...
And also, if we can throw this on with the graphics, and we should move on because it's taking a while. But the physics in Zelda, right? That's part of graphics, right? The way that the physics engine is working.
Now you're grasping at straws. I'm fine with Zelda looking more detailed and having a consistent epic look. I don't think the physics should play a role. Okay, so you don't think that the variety of Mario is enough to usurp Zelda's consistent, evolved, cel-shaded look?
No. Some of those kingdoms in Mario, while really pretty and cool and creative, they're very small. The environments themselves are not as big as you think they are. So yeah, for me, it's Zelda.
All right, so we will give our second Switchie to Zelda, And the runner-up is Super Mario Odyssey. Next up on the agenda, we have the best port. And this would be a game, not a port in terms of like, okay, Sonic Mania released on all consoles, but a game that was previously out and now ported to the Switch. So the games we have nominated are Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, Doom, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and Rocket League.
Ooh. You're not going to like the one I want to win here. We'll start off with Skyrim. Fantastic port. To me, that's the best port on Switch. Skyrim.
Yeah.
It's so well done. If anybody had the luxury of not trying Skyrim before in the many revisions it's had, and Switch is the first time you've experienced Skyrim, you are in for a treat, especially if you like massive RPGs like this. I think you're going to absolutely love it. So I think we'll come back and touch on Skyrim in a little bit once again, but I want to talk about Doom. Another good port. The only thing is the consistency just wasn't there. There were certain levels where the frame rate would drop to like the teens. It wasn't like constantly 30. The fact that it wasn't 60, once you get over that hump and you're like, okay, this is 30. But once it drops below that, it's very, very noticeable. And obviously textures and environmental graphics, everything, it's not quite as good, but we expect that because the Switch doesn't have the power, so we shouldn't detract it too much. But the way it runs on there, it's good. And I was surprised they were able to do that, but Skyrim did something like really special, I think, just port-wise. But I think Doom 100% deserves a mention. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is a weird one, right? Because
it's a port, but it's not a port, but it's like a very recent port. But I think if we look at this, it's by far the best. I mean,
the best game, sure, but is it the best port? Like, I'm telling you, dude, Skyrim runs on Switch. It was super well. Like,
I know.
That's a huge surprise. Is it a surprise that Mario Kart 8 runs well on Switch?
I don't think, but we're not going best surprise. We're going the best port. And,
yeah,
Mario Kart 8 adds content. And I know Skyrim does as well to a small degree. But Mario Kart 8 adds content, and it really takes such advantage of the Switch. And maybe Skyrim does as well by bringing it portably. I know you've mentioned that you really enjoy taking that massive adventure open world portably. I think it's down to those two. I did want to throw Rocket League in there. I love the fact that it has cross-platform play. In general, it runs pretty well, and it has stayed atop the eShop charts since its launch. It's a fun version of Rocket League. It's a great fit for Switch. It goes well portably, and cross-platform ensures that you're going to have a player base. But like Doom, I feel like it is not doing anything super special. Some people could argue that Mario Kart 8 is the best purchase on Switch, given, the best overall, experience on Switch, the most perfect game. It's the ideal version of Mario Kart. Skyrim, it's very good, but I mean, and this is a personal thing. I have no desire to play that game.
Yeah, and I didn't know if I should talk about that or not, but you just don't like Skyrim at all in general. So, I mean, that's okay. But I guess if we're talking about the best port, something has to be said for the fact that Skyrim was a harder game to port. Mario Kart is relatively easy to port. And, we're not game developers, so we don't know the minutiae of it all. But Mario Kart 8 is a game that kind of looks the way it looks, and that's fine. Getting it to run on Switch shouldn't be that difficult because it ran well on Wii U, and the Switch is more powerful. That makes perfect sense, right? The port job is not anything as drastic as it is with Skyrim, and that's where the impressiveness of Skyrim comes in. Getting a game that massive to run that well, on a platform that you take portably with you, I think that's a great feat there. I wouldn't be mad at Mario Kart 8 winning necessarily. It's just that I 1000% believe that Skyrim is a more impressive port. Mario Kart 8 is a better game. That I'm not disputing whatsoever. I'm just talking just the port job.
So the porting process is more impressive, but Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is technically the better port. I guess it's like the porting process or the port itself, right? Like the game or the process.
I mean, cause yes, Mario Kart 8 is a better game. I feel like I'm not trying to dispute that. I'm just saying the actual port of the game, like the taking an old game and making it work well on the Switch. That I think Skyrim deserves to be commended for that.
And it absolutely does. It just doesn't deserve first or second place. Can we split this Switchie in half? It's a tough call because it's very clear to me that Mario Kart 8 is the better game and the better purchase. But
Same.
I do agree that Skyrim is an impressive...
And the category is port. It's not like better game. So that's why I don't understand your like
Okay, all right. So
I get what you're saying, but at the same point that's not what the category is.
Yes, and I guess given the fact that Doom ran so averagely, like impressively for the Switch, but averagely.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Switchie for the 2017 Best Port on Switch goes to The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, and the runner-up is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
Wonderful.
Value, the best value on Switch. This is a game that you get your money's worth and more. It's not necessarily the game you play the longest, but it's the game that you feel really gives you quality hours and a quantity of hours that is more than worth the price. And the games that we've nominated, it's a list. Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Stardew Valley, Super Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Enter the Gungeon, Super Mario Odyssey, and Brawl Out. So I'm going to start off first here. I nominated 2 indies. You nominated 1. Yours is Stardew Valley, which clocks in at $20 and has a bountiful amount of hours farming, exploring, living the life, and I cannot compete with that. I will say that I feel that Brawl Out is exceptionally impressive for $19.99. It has very good graphics. It has a very fun, albeit limited roster, and it approximates Smash Brothers far better than I expected. And at a price that is 1/3 of inevitably what the Smash Brothers that comes on Switch will cost, I feel like it has to be mentioned.
Yeah, I'm not mad at that. Just to touch on Stardew Valley a little bit before we move on to the other indie on the list. In thinking in value, I'm also thinking about what's coming, like for these games, because games are now constantly updated and there's new content. The multiplayer that's coming to Stardew Valley, that's something that we need to stop and think about for a second. I feel like that not that Stardew Valley needs a resurgence, but I feel like it's going to have a resurgence once you can play that multiplayer, because you can play that with split Joy-Con, and there's like new stuff coming. Brawl Out, I don't think that there's new stuff coming. I don't know.
There are definitely new characters and updates coming. 100%.
Okay. All right. So, same on that. Enter the Gungeon, Zach. I'm sorry. The game is awesome. I have nothing against the game, but the one thing that I keep seeing people think about, and this is kind of topical, just in the end of 2018, because it's a conversation that's been had, but the difficulty. Like, it's a hard game. There's people that can't get past the second level. And in the press side of things, that is a conversation that's been had recently. So I thought,
yeah, the main reason I like to put it on here is especially because of the direct comparison with Binding of Isaac, and the fact that on Switch it's a great game, it's a great port, but it's $40, and Enter the Gungeon at $15 I feel is a steal. I think it's super fun. I personally drop down to the 4th and 5th level regularly, so I don't feel that difficulty crunch, but I see what you're saying, and I'm fine with this not even being on there. I just think that it is such a stellar title for 15. It's one that I can replay back to back to back and not feel that it's repetitive, and I think that there's a little bit more to it than some people think, and I know it's a port, I know it's old, I just wanted to mention it. And I guess that's another question, like, do we give a little bit of extra oomph to something like Zelda, Mario, Brawl Out, given that Stardew, Mario Kart, and Enter the Gungeon are older ports? You know, is the newness factor, does that have to be taken into account here with value?
I don't know. Because Mario Kart will be a game that a ton of people that is a weird sense. Mario Kart is going to be the game that a ton of people put the most time into on their Switch because of the multiplayer aspect, because of the online aspect. And yes, it's a port, but as we've come to realize, not that many people own a Wii U. So many new Switch users. Mario Kart 8 is going to be a new game for a ton of people. So, you know, where do we draw the line as far as that goes? For me, if we want to, talk about value, right? And this doesn't narrow down the list very much, but Brawl Out and Gungeon, I think we tossed those out kind of because we know that Those aren't going to go deep. All of these other ones are a little bit more difficult to just get out of here. Mario Odyssey, if you want to complete everything in the game, takes a ton of time. Mario Kart, if you include the multiplayer fun, both locally and online, you can put a ton of time into those. Stardew Valley has that update coming. And Zelda, people play it for over 100 hours. There's so many Korok seeds to collect. There's a lot to do in that game as well. So I guess, and you did say it's not sheer amount of hours. That's not what we're talking. We're talking quality hours here. But I do feel like all 4 of these games give you quality hours too. That's the other thing.
Yeah. I think the difference between Zelda and Mario Kart is a little bit of make your own fun versus more guided fun. As you mentioned, after you beat Mario Odyssey, it opens up so much more. The game is absolutely massive. There's 1,000 moons. It's humongous. There are even extra kingdoms that can be unlocked, and there are achievements. Zelda has plenty of side quests, plenty of shrines, literally hundreds of shrines. I feel like, personally, my enjoyment curve or my quality curve went down with Zelda faster than it did with Mario. I don't know about you, but I guess because there's so much time spent wandering and running, and there's plenty of hours. I just don't know if the more guided nature of Mario Odyssey should factor in.
Yeah, I don't know how much I want to defend Zelda on this. Just because, you're right. A lot of the time spent is, traversal. You got to get places. You got to climb a whole bunch of things. You got to deal with the weather. There's a lot there. But I don't want to diminish the actual content that's in the game, too, because I feel like it is stellar content.
Sure.
But, yeah, I have no problem probably like knocking out Zelda, although, people play that game for so long. There's so much to do. People love collecting those seeds, right? And the shrines, the shrines, they're fun, and there is a ton of them. And even like finding the shrines is kind of a little mini adventure on its own. So I don't know. I just wanted to give Zelda one last shout out, I guess, just because I feel like that's gonna kind of fall by the wayside here.
Yeah, and I think we can agree that Zelda is probably Stardew Valley, I guess technically, but Zelda is the biggest game here. It is an absolute massive marvel. I just feel like Mario Odyssey really impresses with the way in how it evolves post-game. And personally, 4 Divine Beasts was not enough for me. I know there's a lot more to do, and I know there's plenty to get involved in, and it did win Game of the Year at countless sites. I'm just going to make a hard case for Super Mario Odyssey having more quality hours longer.
Sure. So then that leaves us with 3. That leaves us with Mario Kart, Stardew, and Odyssey. What do you want?
I think Zelda. To me, I think Zelda is above the other 2.
Above which?
A Stardew.
Yeah, right? I'm just trying to narrow it down to the 1. Like, my 1 is probably, and I hate to say this just because it is a Mario Kart. Like, Mario Kart, there is a lot of, like, the value there is great. You can play it split Joy-Con, you can play it locally with your friends, you can play it online with your friends. Like, not a lot of these other games offer that. Brawl kind of does, I suppose, but the sheer amount of fun with Mario Kart, it's hard to beat in my mind.
Yeah. Does value need to cross multiplayer and single player?
No, it doesn't have to, but
does the newness of the Mario Odyssey content, and Mario Odyssey does not have the multiplayer options that Mario Kart has, obviously.
But it does have the Cappy thing you can use.
Yeah. And it is great portably. It's great docked. It travels well. So there is that sort of value proposition. I totally see what you're saying, Mario Kart. Again, and I don't know if I'm being a stickler for this, but I go back to the fact that there is not any new tracks. And there's a few new characters. Or I guess not, right? It's just the DLC characters, okay? So
you have new modes.
New battle modes and maps.
Yeah. All right, so what's your game?
I want to make a case for Mario Odyssey edging out Mario Kart because it's a new game.
I'm not mad at that.
And I feel like in the same way that Skyrim impressed you, I feel like Mario Kart was a known quantity, and I feel like Mario Odyssey, we were so worried, and it impresses immensely with not only how many kingdoms and moons it has, but how those kingdoms change and evolve over time to increase the amount of content to a point that is literally almost overwhelming.
Yeah, you make a good point. I have zero problem with Mario Odyssey having the best. Like, that is tremendous value. Like, you will get a ton of time into it again, even though that's not exactly what we're talking about. The value is there, and you can play locally multiplayer. I'm excited to see what other content is coming, which I'm assuming there's something coming.
Yeah,
DLC,
we have
DLC
to imagine, right?
Yeah, but we don't know. So what the switchy for value is going to Odyssey?
Super Mario Odyssey, runner-up, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
Perfect.
All right, the last one of the day is the best use of the Switch and its portable hybrid nature. The games we have nominated are Snipperclips, Sonic Mania, surprise, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Overcooked, and Super Mario Odyssey. And I'll take this one from the top again. I am going to, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe I don't think needs any real explanation. It uses the Switch in all of its ways, docked, portable, tabletop, the Joy-Con, it's got multiplayer, it's got the ability to play single player, it's got online, it really takes advantage of everything. It's great with the Pro, it's great with the split Joy-Con. Super Mario Odyssey, I feel I enjoy playing that portably. I think it's a better bite-sized game than Zelda. That's why I pushed for this over Zelda, because even though Zelda it's like, whoa, let's play this awesome big Zelda on the go, it doesn't lend itself as well to short sessions, right?
Yeah. Well, shrines, but yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's the case. I know this is just a personal pick, but Overcooked is the one that I have taken the most places and played the most crazy ways. I think it is ideal and so fun, but again, it is a port, and so I'm willing to, let that slide and just get a nomination. Gabe, tell me a little bit about why Sonic Mania is on this list.
It's on the list because of what you talked about, the bite-sized nature. You can finish a couple Sonic levels in minutes. You can also play it split Joy-Con for multiplayer. So it's a very good game for portable handheld play. It is perfect for that almost, just because the levels are so bite-sized and it runs well. Looks very, very pretty and handheld. Other than that, I don't have too much, because I wanted to nominate it just because it is good. But I guess it's kind of like Overcooked. Where like, hey, it's cool, give it a nomination, but I never expected Sonic Mania to be like the best like portable game. It's a great Sonic game, which we don't get super often. Forces came out this year as well. That wasn't that. This was a throwback. It brought in a bunch of super cool music. Not a lot of new levels. It was mainly remixes of old levels, but the new ones were very, very well done, art style wise. Right, the I forgot the name of the level exactly, but the one where you're like spinning like in a saloon, and there's all like one where you're like behind some lights and you see like a shadow of Sonic is what you're like looking at on screen. They did an awesome job with the new levels. If this game was all new levels, I think it would be a much easier debate, like as to if it's like deserving of a win. But since it is a lot of remixes of stuff, it can fall by the wayside. I'm okay with that.
All right, and that brings us to Snipperclips, which is for me the game that first showed me how the Switch was special in its hybrid nature. And that was at the January launch event. I actually was running out of time at the event, and I had played ARMS, I had played Splatoon 2, I had played Breath of the Wild, I had played 1-2 Switch, and I saw that there was availability at the Snipperclip station. I was like, oh, I'll go check this out. It's kind of a goofy little puzzle game, whatever, $19.99. And I was like, holy crap, playing this in tabletop with another person is absolutely amazing. And it has continued to be amazing through the year, through its constant mentions on our channel and through its DLC. I really, really think it is sort of, at least for us on the channel, our go-to, like, hey, showcase and share the Switch game. And to me, that says a lot. I don't know if it says more than Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, but it definitely really, at least for us, I think, epitomizes the multifaceted, dynamic nature of the Switch.
In real-world situations, anytime I'm showing the Switch to someone for the first time, Snipperclips is the first game we're playing. Always. It does such a good job of showing the pure fun and like the camaraderie of like solving these puzzles. And yes, like now I know how to solve them all, but just like talking someone through them, right? And they get familiar with the controls, and you know, it's funny to like see them like rotate their hands and stuff, kind of like a video game commercial. Like I just love seeing people try the Switch for the first time with snipper clips, and it's designed really well. It's designed to where the puzzles can be difficult to complete at times, but you always like kind of feel like you know exactly what you should be doing. And just getting it done and communicating with the person next to you. That's where the importance of this camaraderie that I'm talking about. Just having the patience with someone. I mean, you and I and Jake playing the game together, we yell at each other sometimes. Like, hey, no, like, do this. Like, none of these other games really bring that out of me.
Overcooked, 100%.
Well, I don't play Overcooked very much. But, you know, Overcooked, it's an older game. It's been out, and it's not as cool in my head. So... I like Overcooked.
And the quality of the game, like, you know, cannot be disputed. I mean, none of these really are. They're all very fantastic titles. I guess it's which one takes best advantage of the Switch, and to me, it's down to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe because of the way that the multiplayer can take shape in just about any form that the Switch can offer. And then it's Snipper Clips because it really is sort of an eye-opener to bringing the Switch portably and enjoying with another person. I mean, I guess Mario Kart is as well. But Snipper Clips just has that clever extra oomph that, to me, probably puts it over the top.
And let me say this. If I'm playing Mario Kart with someone, right? Let's say we're just at my house. I'm playing Mario Kart. I want to instantly go dock it because that's a far better experience. With Snipper Clips, that isn't the case. Like, yeah, it's like bigger. But the experience is the same because it's not like split screen or anything. You're like on the same screen. For Mario Kart, the split screen being like so small, to me that's a deterrent. Every time I play Mario Kart portable, I always wish it was docked. That is not the case. That's not how I feel with Snipper Clips at all. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I think that's a totally reasonable point, and I think that is why the Switchie, for the best use of the Switch's portable hybrid nature, goes to Snipper Clips, and the runner-up is, once again, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So just to recap for you, today's 5 categories. The Switchie for Best Switch Online Multiplayer went to Splatoon 2, with the runner-up being Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. The Switchie for Best Graphics in 2017 on Switch went to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, with the runner-up being Super Mario Odyssey. The Switchie for the Best Port on Switch in 2017 went, surprisingly, to The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, with the runner-up being Super Mario Kart 8. I don't know why I keep saying super. Just it is a super game. It's freaking super. The Best Value Switchie for 2017 went to Super Mario Odyssey, with the runner-up being, again, Mario Kart 8. And the best use of the portable hybrid nature Switchie went to Snipper Clips Cut 8 Out Together, and the runner-up being Mario Kart 8. Mario Kart 8 getting a lot of love, and we'll see if that continues into our next video, which will feature 5 more categories. Come back to see the best local multiplayer, the best single player, the best original idea, the best music, and the best retro title. The video may already be up, so check your subscription box. If you're not subscribed, make sure to subscribe for all sorts of great end-of-the-year wrap-up content and new 2018 content. We've got you covered. This is the home for Nintendo Switch and the home for awesome fans and friends like you. Until next time, everybody, let us know your take on our picks in the comments down below and what your picks would be. Thanks so much for watching. Fantastic day. For myself and Gabe, Switch Force out.